5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're live with Neve.
All right. Happy Friday, everybody. How are you? You're here with the Live with Neve show.
Happy Friday.
Do you have a do you happen to have a headphones on, or are you really loud on your end?
I don't think so. Why am I picking? Are you picking?
I hear me through your speakers. It's kind of weird.
That is weird.
All right. I just sent our guest Martin he's waiting. Not sure he's ready to go. So, and you're in. Okay. So now I don't hear that feedback. Can you still hear me okay? Tell you what, hang on. I think what's happened is there's an iPad on upstairs and it's feeding back. So how about you say hello to the audience while I go and take this show to the heavens? I'll be right back.
Okay. So I guess I'm going to say hi to you guys. What happened was Neve, he fell asleep a little bit and he was doing too many things at once. So what he's doing is turning those other things off so that way we can get back to what we're supposed to be doing, which is beats me. I'm just here for the ride. But I know this morning we talked about dating, which really, like at our age, it's a
Yes, the Grammy Award-winning show you've all been waiting for. Oh, it is not here. Did you hear that? I'm still hearing this weird squeaking shit. Check. I don't get it. Active now. I'm telling our guests we're here. There's Martin. Here he is. Hey, good morning.
Right. Is it morning there?
No. It's actually good afternoon. How are you, Martin?
I'm all right. I'm struggling to get on this, to get on the session, but here I am, yeah.
Hi, Martin.
I'm glad you're here.
Hi, Mandy.
I'm still hearing it.
What are you hearing?
I'm having some weird problems today, but you understand, Martin. You've been doing this kind of stuff for a while.
Yeah.
So how are you? It's been a while.
Good, thank you. Yes.
Excellent. I'm checking just to see if this mic. Check it out. Can I hear it now? I'm hearing it through your speaker, Mandy. Do you have anything?
No, because even when I mute it, when I mute myself, it's still like sounds reverby.
Okay, let's see what we can do to. I don't see any versions of it open, but I do hear that awful mess. Check. It's really weird because if I mute you, check. How about on your end? Do you hear anything, Martin, unusual?
You're okay now, but you had to mute Mandy to make it work. Well, you had to mute Mandy to get rid of the squeaking.
And I don't hear that squeaking at all on my end. And it's the same as this morning. But
it's really weird. I'm getting it still. You know what? Before we get rolling, I'm going to go ahead and log out and log back in. Okie doke. And I'll see you all in a moment. Welcome to Live with Neve. We're going to be with Martin McNeill in just a moment. And I'll be right back.
You guys can
So, are we still broadcasting? Do you think, Mandy?
Yeah. So, Martin, where are you from?
Leon C, which is in the UK, Essex in the UK. Where are you from?
Oh, I'm in Jersey too.
Jersey. Oh, all right. Okay.
Yep. Me and Neve in the good old armpit of America.
Okay.
In the UK, do you guys know that saying?
The armpit of it? No, we wouldn't be so rude.
I know you're very polite. That's real. That's real. Really.
Okay. So do you? I'm still sort of catching up with. I've done this. I've done this before. I've seen some of these live with Neve things, but it's quite a phenomenon, isn't it? And you're a regular now, are you now, Mandy?
Yeah, it's funny. Like just meeting people, like from just far away,
Right.
In these little cubes. That's it. We're just little cubes to each other,
Yeah, very odd. Okay. So you got rid of the squeak then?
Well, I'm here. I'm back, and we're going to go ahead and give it a shot. I'm going to say, let's just roll with the punches. Hey, I can hear everybody, and you can hear me apparently, so we're going to take it away. So, Martin, you've been doing your show again for a while. Were you missing it?
Yeah, I was. I did a live stream most weeks, almost every Thursday, starting. So many people started this online stuff when we had the lockdown, and I did it for more than 2 years, most weeks. And yeah, I thought, well, okay, time to give it a break. So I did give it a rest a few months ago. But since then, I've come back. I think I've only done 2 since then. So I've come back.
Right.
I will now, I think, do it once a month. Well, it's an interesting way of making music and linking up with people.
Well, I'm always happy when I see how many people you've got. You got a great audience. And I have to say, for myself, even when you stopped doing it, I was missing you. And I went back and watched some of the old shows and then, I wrote you up. I said, hey, you want to come back? It's been a while. And you really, I've always enjoyed your show, and you're one of my oldest guests since the show started. You've been coming back, and I'm glad you're here.
Oh well, that's kind of you. As you know, I'm a little reluctant to do your show, Neil, because I don't. You get so many cool people on. I don't think I fit your profile.
Oh man, I think you're one of the coolest guests we have, and I mean that. I wouldn't say it, and I'd never ask you. I think you're great. I really, I mean that. Hell, I'm not making any money off you or myself. So we're here just for fun,
So how long have you been doing this?
Mandy doing it or me?
Sorry, Neil. How long have you been doing it?
This will be the 3rd year.
3 years, right?
It's the year that I thought, I'll make millions this year. No, I'm kidding. I do the show and would do it even if I wasn't occasionally making a little money here and there. I mean, it's a labor of love. I like talking to musicians. I like hanging out with people who are got skills that want to talk about them and have, I have to say that your spin on it, you English guys always do good with the American blues. Seems like all that osmosis that went on back in the 60s. Speaking of that, it's awful. Jeff Beck passing this week. Speaking of English guitar players.
He was astonishingly good. I mean, there are just a few musicians of each generation who have a totally unique style. No one else can play like Jeff Beck. He was a great musician. Had a fantastic career, but yes, a great loss now. Yeah.
He was just incredible, and he seemed to always be having such a great time every time he was out. The guy, he always had a great band, and he, like you said, he could tell Jeff Beck the way he played.
Yeah.
As soon as you heard him, I'd hear him when he'd do his volume control and play notes, and you hear how he was just the best at playing that style of guitar. There's nobody who really did it quite. He was a truly unique guitar player, which is harder to find these days.
He must have, I guess. I don't play loud. I don't ever use a big amp, but he must have been playing with his amp and his guitar. Well, no, the amp turned up so loud that he could be really sensitive, turn his volume down,
right?
And to do that, to play so that you don't really have to fret the note,
It was amazing watching him control it when he would do it. Like you said, it's like the gain had to be so high.
Exactly.
And just thinking about the action of your hand and trying to rotate the knob. I just saw him like a week ago playing, and it was incredible because I watched him correct. Just like what you said, he turned the knob, and then he was fretting it and not playing it with his hand. And when he got down there, you could just see him. He moved that knob just like a little bit, really subtle, and you could hear it. It was like right on it. God, this guy.
I mean, a lot of guitarists who play at high volume just make an awful noise, you know.
Yeah, but Jeff truly was
controlled.
My favorite memory of him is with my ex-wife. Was going to see him, and we're watching the show, and Jeff came out, and a friend of mine, a young guitar phenom, was playing that night. So the band comes on, all keyed up for this young guitar phenomenon from Tampa named Damon Fowler. He was like 15 years old at this point. And he had opened up for him. And this kid shreds. He's an incredible blues man. You ought to check him out, Marty. You got to play slide like you will not believe. He's a lap steel killer. And I've had him on the show. He's really, really a good guy. And I knew him from the time he was like a little kid. He used to come out and jam with the band occasionally and get up and we'd be like, wow. And the leader of that band was really good friends with him. I'm not that great of a friend with him, but, you know, I always enjoyed it. I was like, this is a cool kid. But yeah, so while Beck is playing, Jeff, she looks at me and says, where's Beck? I said, he's that dude in the middle of the stage ripping the neck off his guitar. And she's like, she looks at her friend and she goes, did he like play I'm a Loser Baby? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh God, I really should have married a woman my age. This is getting out of line. Oh my God, it was too funny. Yeah. And my co-host at the time, Julie, she didn't know either, so it was kind of funny. Of course, I'm sitting there all smug. I'm like, you guys don't know the difference between Jeff Beck? You know, come on, man, listen to this guy play. But so what have you been doing? Have you been playing a lot of live gigs lately? Are you back at it? Your little following and doing things?
I am. I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy if I get one or two a week, and it's a bit more than that at the moment. But yeah, I'm out gigging next week. I've got 2 or 3, I think. Yeah.
Great.
So I've been doing some big gigs with the band actually, which is we don't get many gigs or we don't look for them, but I've been doing gigs with the band and solo stuff and duos. I love gigs where I just have one guest. I get a guy called Wes Weston, lovely harmonica player, a pianist called Tim Huskisson, a guitarist called Connor Selby. He's going to be making it big soon, I think. They're the sort of, so I like doing those intimate gigs, just me and one other.
Absolutely. Player. I used to always think that coffee house gigs were like terrible, and I made a point of not doing one. Sometimes my bandmates would be like, I've got this great coffee shop. I'd go, forget about it. Not playing a coffee shop. And lo and behold, I, for some reason, got called down to play with some friends at a coffee shop. And I learned, wow, people pay attention here. Everybody's not all liquored up, so they're paying attention to you instead of like their phone or some of the other things that people find entertaining to do at a gig. I mean,
it's hard. It is hard to find over here. Hard to find the right sort of venues for that kind of intimate gig where you can listen. If you're playing a pub here in the UK, it's noisy, you know, and you have to just feel
like a big one of the places here is Barnes and Noble bookstores. I've played at a couple of those over the years.
Oh right, yeah.
That's the place where they always, like, the manager is this highly overworked and stressed out middle-aged woman who's always got too many things to do. Yeah. And when I start playing the drums, they come running up and they're all like, the drummer, huh? What are you going to do with him? You know, and I'm like sitting there, I'm guilty. Yes, ma'am. We'll put a towel on the snare drum. You did hire a 5-piece rock and roll band. And we did bring in all these big amps and things. God forbid, who would have ever known, you know? It instantly becomes like
finding the right venue for what you're doing. It can be difficult.
Right. Well, you know, we always adapt. I'll tell you what, in a few minutes, I'd be like, how's that, man? You can see her. She's like, take a cleansing breath. Go get a coffee for both of us, okay? Sit down and enjoy the ride. We're here to have fun. Well, speaking of fun, I could sit here and yak and make jokes all day. But what would you like to play for us today? Because that's really the best part of the show.
I had it in my head. I wasn't sure what you wanted, but I had it in my head you wanted me to play. So
of course I did.
I've got a guitar.
I really was going to hire you to be my next host. I was going to introduce you to Mandy. I'm sorry. I love this guy. Look at him. He's a great, a true English gentleman. I really like you, Martin. I'm so glad you're on the show, mate. I really am. You're a lot of fun.
Okay.
So what would you like to play for us today? I'm going to just turn it over to you. Consider it the Martin McNeill show for a little while.
I'll just start playing and see what comes out there.
All right, here you are, folks. You're on Live with Neil. Welcome to the Mandy and Martin show. All right, guys. Here he is, Martin McNeill from London. Here he is. This is the good stuff.
I was in my bed sleeping. Oh boy, what a dream. I was in my bed sleeping. Oh boy, what a dream. I was dreaming about my TV mama, the one with the big white screen. Well, she's got kisses like candy. Boys, I like my sweet. She's my TV mama, from her head down to her feet. She's my TV mama, the one with the big white screen. And when she loves me, you know she makes me wanna scream. I was rolling and tumbling, talking all out my head. I was rolling and tumbling, just talking all out my head. And when my baby shook me, you know I fell right out of bed.
How about it? And that is sweet, sweet. What guitar are you playing today, by the way?
This is Rialto. It's a guitar that I found secondhand actually, but I loved it when I played it in the shop. And
It's got great tone.
Never heard of this brand, Rialto.
Well, that's all right.
I tracked down it was a guitar by a man who makes just a few guitars a year. That's his
right.
A luthier. And it's a beautiful guitar. Well, it suits me anyway.
It certainly sounds really, really great. I mean, it's just what you hear is what you've got, and it's pretty damn sweet, I have to say. So, I could sit and talk. I'm just going to let you kind of run the show. What would you like to play for us? I mean, you can consider yourself, you're here. You got the keys to the castle, and you're here to entertain. I'm superfluous when I have a great guest like you on. I say that because you can hear me talk any day of the week, but hearing you on the other end.
I'll do something. Okay, well, that was a bit of old school blues. So I'll do this. I'll do a bit of gospel then.
All right.
Jesus on the main line.
Excellent.
Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. You just call him up, tell him what you want. Well, this line ain't never busy. Tell him what you want. This line ain't never busy. Tell him what you want. Well, this line ain't never busy. Tell him what you want. You just call him up and tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. You just call him up. You just call him up. You just call him up and tell him. Call him up and tell him. You just call him up and tell him what you want.
All right. Sounding good today, my friend. Definitely.
Okay. Am I still here? You want more, or do you want to chat? Are you waiting for me to do another? I think he is. Okay. I'm just saying what sort of thing we want. Right. Neil, am I? Do you want another, or are we talking, or you going to someone else? I can't hear you. That's the trouble. Okay, I'll do another then of some sort. You said you was hurting, you almost lost your mind. The man that you've been loving, he hurts you all the time. When things go wrong with you, it hurts me too. Well, you should leave him. You know you should put him down. I can't bear to see you pushed around. When things go wrong with you, it hurts me too. He loves another woman, but I love you, but you love him, and you stick to him like glue. When things go wrong with you, it hurts me too. You said you was hurting, you almost lost your mind. The man that you've been loving, he hurts you all the time. When things go wrong with you, it hurts me too.
Wow. And that is so cool. I have to tell you, man, I love the sound of just a guitar and you're playing. You really do a great job. I'm sitting here playing drums in the studio with you with the mic off, having fun. I just really enjoying it. And so for my audience, how long have you been playing?
Uh, 55 years, I reckon. 56 years.
It's about to. We were both on the same time scale then, musically and in age. We're pretty close.
I think I'm ahead of you.
maybe a year or two, but not too far. I'm 61.
Right. Well, no, I'm ahead of you. I'm 70. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Whoa. Holy cow. I don't know what you're drinking, but I think I need to move to your neighborhood, brother. Seriously. That's all you need is a drummer moving right, 2 doors down.
Yeah.
Did you know him, Martin? You said he was normal, but drummers we are what we are. I make no, apologies.
No.
So when you were a young guy, did your family support your quest to be a musician?
Sure. Yeah, I'm hesitating because not in the early days, a little, not so much. I think my parents were happy for me to tinkle on the piano. I didn't do very well on the piano, and then I wouldn't say I don't want to be unkind, but I wouldn't say they were particularly to my music until recent years. And unfortunately, they both passed on now. My parents,
right? I remember sadly last year.
But
would they come out to your gig?
No. But when I started doing the live streams, they started to get really into my music. Now, I'm not suggesting they weren't before. I'd have a couple of little amateur CDs and things I'd given them. But I think the live streams helped to connect me with my mum and dad, actually.
That's great. I find the same thing because a lot of people, Facebook's not cool. Oh, it's only us old senior citizens crowd. But you know what? It's been the best thing since I moved to be able to, keep up with friends and you discover people you haven't known for years. Occasionally that can run weird. You get a kid from college calls you up that you're glad you moved across the continent. Hey, I lived in Florida, so I'd get this call. Hey, can I come to Florida? Let's hook up. I'd be like, oh no, how'd this guy get my number? That's life. What drew you to the blues?
At that time, I guess when I was starting to play music, it was the music that we liked to listen to that wasn't on the mainstream radio over here in the UK, but it was on the sort of radio station that you had to listen to in the middle of the night, sitting in your bed.
So would you get like the States on AM and listen to blues that way?
Yeah, I mean there were DJs who were importing. They were bringing records from America, playing them on their little radio stations that you couldn't even buy in the shops in those days. Not that many blues records,
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So the rarity, not the rarity, but the way it was something special, something a bit. It's a bit of a clique, really. And so I think that drew me to it, and a lot of other people. And of course, blues became much more mainstream. But in the early days, you had to look hard for it, and that I think made us really want to get into it.
Okay. Now, what were you listening to until the blues came along? Skiffle and stuff like that, or what was your
pop music? I guess whatever the pop music of the day was. But it was only when the UK bands who were playing R&B, the Stones, the Pretty Things, and those sort of the bands. They were what really made me prick my ears out. And of course, you hear them play a tune by Slim Harpo,
right?
Yes, or Jimmy Reed, and you think, well, use that, and you have to check them out.
Absolutely. Well, it's been interesting how the blues in America, it was almost cool in England before it was cool here. Here it was race music, and it's like nice people didn't go into the ghetto to buy a blues record per se, but it found a way. I know there's such a whole great generation, Rory Gallagher, all these players that come before us, and they took it. And English guys play the blues different than American guys. It's just a different thing. You made it into your own. I think I don't know. It's just something's right in the water.
It's a bit odd because obviously you do think, are we stealing this music? But on the other hand, there is a long tradition now of blues in the UK, and it is a bit different. You're right. So I don't feel too bad about stealing it. There's a big conversation about whether you should write your own material, whether it's right or wrong to sing those old songs. But to me, because I've always been part of that culture, it's always been the music I've listened to and learned about. I
think it's a homage when you do it. I seriously, and I think that's a good thing because I think the blues will be here as long as man's alive. There will be somebody playing the blues in some club because you'll find as an American, if you go and you travel over in Europe and places, in the summertime, you'll find better music a lot of times in Europe, more diverse than you will find in the States. Because here we'll have like all the big powerhouse tours, but some of the blues acts just don't get the same exposure. Not all. Believe me, we have.
Well,
you know.
I just saw the other day in London at the 100 Club. I saw John Primer, a Chicago blues guitarist, singer, and
John
Billy
Primer. He's a great player.
Yeah, great. He's been around for a long time, obviously. Billy Branch, great harmonica player, and a young cat called Jamal Rogers. He's playing in Chicago. He's in early 20s, mid 20s maybe, and he's got the blues tradition in him, but he's also hip and he's playing a lot of heavier stuff, Hendrix influence stuff. So the blues is still there. And to us in the UK, you know, the people who were with me in that club, I think it was great. Oh, these are the real deal, you know, the Chicago.
Sure. Absolutely.
You don't get that many of them now. You know, time's moved on, obviously, and there aren't many of those old players about.
No, it was like, you know, a lot of those old players, when B.B. King was alive and so forth. I'm lucky because I got to see him a few times over his course of his life, and he had entertainment. I mean, he had more talent in his finger than half the people I've run into or paid to see. It was,
a huge entertainer, and you know, I think there was a time when some people preferred their blues to be raw, rough, authentic, you know, and then B.B. King comes along and it's showbiz, you know, but brilliant showbiz, you know.
What did you think of Led Zeppelin when they came out? Were you a fan?
In the early stuff, yeah, I was. I mean, obviously early on they did things like "You Shook Me" and you know a number of.
I even now I hear when you said that, I can hear Robert's voice when they were really young. It was just unbelievable. Yeah. I saw some pictures of when they were playing over in the UK when they were first out, and it was the Led Zeppelin. Your proper announcer would say, "Now the Led Zeppelin." Yeah. And I saw them in the audience. It was like before they had gotten famous, and the look on the audience's face was just like they didn't know what to make of it.
No,
Jimmy Page was just ripping the blues like, you know, nobody around at that time. And I mean, I'm a little younger than you, but it did the same thing to me. It's like, stay away from that devil music. That's the blues. You get in trouble, you know. And I got to crank this up some more. You know, this is some real good shit.
But you said you used an interesting expression earlier that's probably not, you know, not quite correct these days. But it was definitely the way that black music was labeled and put in a box. So it was
absolutely
there were race records. They actually called them race records. So you know,
right,
not for the white folks. You know,
yeah, it's funny that whole thing of a sign that says race records. A friend of mine from England told me about that phenomenon. Believe me, it wasn't much different here in the States. Back in the day, I mean, now things are so wide open. I know that we still have prejudice here, but it's just so different. In the 60s and 70s, I mean, down south, you couldn't use a restroom if you were a black person. And I remember passing through and seeing those signs and asking my folks, like, what that was all about. And they explained to me the whole civil rights thing. And, you know, it's part of the evolution of our great countries, I guess. We all aspire to do a little better when we can. And,
I think the record companies were largely responsible for separating music into different categories and for different audiences, you know, and that's very different now. But I think that's what's helped maybe create country music as a different genre to blues, as a different genre to jazz. Because they're all in their boxes, you know, and the record labels didn't. It's as if they just wanted that particular audience. They didn't want you to mix. So
it's interesting too, because the radio here during that time was free form, and you could hear Frank Sinatra and then hear Jimi Hendrix, which was just amazing. It was such a great time in radio, and there's really nothing out there like that anymore that you can hear, unless you're just a serial. Like I'm always listening for somebody to have on the show, and I'll scan through 100 local bands and find some real nuggets. I mean, there's some amazing talent out there if you take the time to look. When people say music's dead, just because I don't like the latest style that comes out, I'm not assuming that after I'm dead and buried that the kids are going to have to mourn me forever because they don't have good music. It's like, generations of old men say, oh, the kids said music's crap and blah, blah, blah. And you know what? At any time, there's always going to be those guys saying it. And, they're usually grumpy and they live in the place where they just, it's like the life where they just don't really get out much. And I don't know, music to me, I try and learn whatever I can when I can. It's always adding vocabulary or a little timbre to your your personal style. And I still can go see a great blues show and hear things guitar players do that in spite of thousands, not hundreds of thousands of hours. I just sit back and I go, wow, I've never heard that.
Yeah.
That unique combination of tone and notes. It's like watching Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top play. He makes it look so damn easy when he's cranking out those leads, and they're so he's sort of like Jeff Beck. He's a guitar player. He's just not afraid of his guitar, you know.
No, it takes it takes a lot of work to make it easy.
Absolutely, years and decades. Yeah, it's true.
And some of the best players, they've not only got to the point where they can play without thinking. It's like a spiritual thing. It's coming straight out.
Absolutely.
Also, they can strip away a lot of the embellishment, a lot of the clever stuff, and get straight to the point. You know.
Absolutely.
That takes a lot of playing to get to that.
It does, but it's a universal language, because when you're playing, it doesn't matter if you've been playing something weird. If you're good, people will stop and they'll pay attention for a while. And even if you only get through the noise of television and radio for 10 minutes, it's great, because those moments, I still see people who are just generally having a great time, just hearing a song like what you just played, and it transports them to a different place, perhaps. It's just, I know myself, every song is connected to a memory. And
absolutely,
I'm driving on the radio and they play stuff from my past as a kid. It gets you that warm and fuzzy feeling. And speaking of warm and fuzzy feelings, we got about 10 minutes. We got time for you to play a few songs. Would you like to play a little more?
Yeah, I can always play a bit more.
Oh man, we love that. That's great. All right, everybody, we're here. We're live with Martin McNeill, and you're on Live with Neve, and it's a commercial-free Friday today.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'll just play. I thought I was going to do an instrumental. I realised that I do actually sing on this. Anyway, it's an old. This is based on an old Buck and White thing. Jitterbug Swing. Well, come on, everybody, gotta do the jitterbug swing. Well, come on, everybody, gotta do the jitterbug swing. When you do that jitterbug, you know you're really on a thing. But now I can't stand it. I can't stand it long. You know I can't stand it. I can't stand it long. Every time I ask you, won't let me walk you home. Jitterbug swing.
That is great. Excellent swing. Well, we have time for, I guess, one more, and I'm gonna let you ride it out. I can't believe we've gone. It doesn't even feel like the show's just flown by so quick. Gosh, it's too quick, man.
I would play harmonica on this. I normally play harmonica on this, but I don't quite know where I'm going to put my. So I'll do it without harmonica. I haven't got time for that.
That sounds good.
Then take it back to Chicago. This is a little.
Let me ask you before you play. Do you have any music available right now that you'd like to sell?
Well, I mean, I do have. I had a couple of CDs that I've still got copies of. I've got lots of copies of my latest one, which is called Sweet Soul Slide, which has got things like Dock of the Bay and.
Excellent.
But it's soulful stuff. That's my point.
Very cool.
But if people want to get in touch with me, go on to my Facebook. You can contact me through Facebook or find my email or website. I'll tell you my website. It's bottleneck-blues.com. bottleneck-blues.com. So if anyone wants to talk to me,
and if not, people, if you want to hear some Martin music, call me up. I'm an agent here in the States, and we'll take care of everything. Martin, how many CDs you got left? I'll call you up.
Too many. The trouble is, if you get press the stop, you get past a certain point, and it doesn't cost you much to get another 100 done. Or another 100.
Yeah, you know what? I had somebody ask me a question about CDs, but I'll tell you, Jay. CDs still 8,000 plays on Spotify, 50 cents. $20 for a CD, and people, amazingly enough, still have them, and people like to buy them. But for a band, you'll do a lot better selling $20 CDs. But if you sell 17,000 CDs at $20, you got a little coin.
That would be nice.
If you go on Spotify, you'll get those checks. Don't get me wrong, those $3 and $4 checks, they're cool and they add up. Pennies make dollars, but it's nice to get an order of 50 CDs. I've been there, man. Made my day when I get an order,
Yeah. So yes, I do have some.
Well, great. Well, for anybody watching, we're gonna roll out. I'm here with Martin McNeill from London, and just let the man's guitar speak, man. You're gonna have a good time.
This is Just Your Fool. I'm just your fool, can't help myself. I love you, baby, and nobody else. I ain't lying, no use in jiving. I'm just your fool. I'm just your fool. I must confess, I love you, baby, and I take your mess. I ain't lying, no use in jiving. I'm just your fool. Are you trying to drive me crazy? Treat me the way you do. I ask you to have mercy, baby. Let me be happy too. Well, if you're gonna leave me for somebody new, ain't no telling what I might do. I love you, baby. You drive me crazy. I'm just your fool.
yes. I love you, baby, and I take your mess. I ain't lying, no use in jiving. I'm just your fool. Are you trying to drive me crazy? Treat me the way you do. I ask you to have mercy, baby. Let me be happy too. If you're gonna leave me for somebody new, ain't no telling what I might do. I love you, baby. You drive me crazy. I'm just your fool. I love you, baby. You drive me crazy. I'm just your fool. I love you, baby. You drive me crazy. I'm just your fool.
All right, everybody. You've been live with Neve with Martin McNeill from London. Martin, thank you so much for being on the show. I can't wait to say, hopefully you'll come back and be a little sooner, man. Thank you very much.
Okay.
You have a great night. All right, my friend. We'll see you next week on Friday at 10 a.m. We got all kinds of good stuff. So I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Be nice to people. Enjoy this. Just enjoy yourself and turn off the politics. Okay. It'll make you a happier person.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're live with Neve.